one thing we do as men is that we tend to numb ourselves, because you know, this is a part of, you feel like you're being tough. You feel like you're being strong. Like, okay, I don't feel that pain. You know, I can't show that pain. I can't. And drinking is a big, big way of numbing your pain. For me, it was pornography. Pornography numbed my pain. And like, I still to this day, I've never been drunk. I've never been high. I don't do that. But pornography was something that took me out.
When did that come into your life? Pornography? When was the first time? Oh
man, I first discovered porn at about 9, 10 years old. I was over at my uncle's house and he had a chest full of pornography. And this is the thing, you know, it's funny because, you know, people have said, well, you know, yeah, there's nothing wrong with pornography, you know, with adults and the whole thing. But the problem is that, you know, you never find it as an adult. I don't know anybody who found pornography as an adult. You always find it as a child. It's everywhere. And it's funny because I've been told, hey man, you know, just mind your business, it's all good, you know, you keep to yourself, that's your issue. But porn never keeps itself to itself. I get texts today. I get texts now. People texting me, it's something like phishing, and they text you porn and text you hot girls in your area now. And you're like, I didn't ask for this. You know what I mean? But you start to realize that they know what they're doing. They know if they can get a hook, and they know if they can get it in you, and they know if they can get it in you young. And this was the thing that attracted me to porn, is that I would open up the magazines and they would have comics in them. And the comics and different things, they would have subjects like Goldilocks and, you know, and Snow White and all these stories, Jack and Jill, you know. And you start to realize, wow, this is really, and this is stuff I realized as an adult, that this is wired. They're wired to get you young, you know what I mean? And to stay in there because they know it'll never go away, you know? And that was what attracted me. And again, I didn't even know what sex was. But man, all I knew is when I opened that magazine and saw those ladies in that magazine and how beautiful they were, all my problems were gone. Like, it was numb. Like, I didn't know anything about violence, about where I was. It was just like, I could zone away and every problem was disappear. And I had to have it. Like, when things got stressful, I'll never forget, because again, and here's another thing, because you're in a religious household, so you know you're doing wrong. You know, it was like, oh, that's bad, you know. But this was also a time when pornography was in the grocery store. And it wasn't seen as something, it was just kind of like, there we go. And I remember telling my mom, I'm gonna go in the store and get some milk. And I remember just grabbing one of those magazines and I couldn't stop until she's like, hey, what are you doing? And she would take me out of this numbing experience I was having. And I'm standing there in the store and I told her I was getting some milk. And there I was. She's like, I was waiting for you for a half hour. What are you doing? But I was stuck. And that's that kind of power that was on me. Like, and I had this addiction for the longest time.
How long?
Oh my God. All the way up until 2010. Wow. From the whole life, from literally from the time I was about 10 to all the way up to about 12 years ago.
And when you say addiction, a lot of people might not know what that means. A lot of people might think that means watching porn from now and then, or looking at a magazine now and then. What did that mean in reality? What was if you've got an example of how bad it got for you?
Yes. First of all, it was, I got a day off from the set. So I'm usually on location and I could watch porn from probably 10 o'clock after my workout, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night.
10 a.m. till 11 p.m. at night.
It wouldn't stop. And I couldn't stop. And I would go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And it was, and the fact that I knew that I was in a different place and no one would know me and no one cared, I could indulge and just, it was what you would call a splurge. Like it just couldn't stop. I couldn't, when day turns into night and you're still watching, I knew I had a problem. I knew I had a problem. And when you tell yourself, not that, like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. And then you go right back. Because what was happening, I found, is, with the porn, it was like I would say, okay, I'm done with that, whatever, and I would feel guilty. But with guilt comes shame. And with the shame says, and shame doesn't say you've done something bad. Shame says you are bad. Like, this is who you are. You're just bad. So what you would do is do a bunch of good things. And you would just work hard and I go good for like 3-4 days and then you need a reward. And what is that reward? Because you did so good. It's porn. And so you go back in and the cycle starts all over again. And I found it would just keep going on and on and on.
How did it impact your marriage? Because you got married in 1989.
Yes. Listen, first of all, I got married in 1989 to the most beautiful woman on earth. And Rebecca, I met her, she's from Gary, Indiana. We met in college. I actually met in church, which was wild because I vowed I wasn't gonna be religious, but what was wild is that I couldn't get away from the things I felt and the things I was used to. And so I went to church and met her, and she was on the piano, and she was the church leader, the worship leader. And she had a child, just like my mom had a child. And it was a little girl, and she was only 6 months old, and we got married when she was 2. And this was the thing. I thought that once I got married, the porn would go away. I said, man, I got a real woman now. Oh, I don't have to tell her about anything. We just gonna, it was a phase. I'm gonna be out of it. It's gonna be great. And then the first argument, well, you feel like it? No, I don't feel like it tonight. Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh, the first sexual conflict.
Right. I'm going out to get pornography. And I thought it was going to be my answer to what it was, but I realized it didn't. And I decided that was going to be my secret. And then you develop a thing where you think if you're in secret, everybody's in secret. Like, I'm sure, this is just the way everybody is. It wasn't until I got into therapy that I realized, I said, no, not everybody's like that, Terry. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, you don't do that? It was a surprise to me. But it was no different than any other thing that would numb you, be it alcohol, be it drugs. And this is the thing too, what I learned, what I thought was awesome was the 12-step program. 12 steps, it was really established by Alcoholics Anonymous, but it works for basically a lot of different addictions. I mean, and starting with the Serenity Prayer, which is, God help me accept the things that I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, the thing is that what I had got backward in my whole life was that I was trying to change things I couldn't change at all. And the things that I could, I felt I was powerless. So if you have those things backwards, it's not wisdom, And what was so unbelievable to me, I just remember, because the wake-up call of all wake-up calls was what we call D-Day around our house. And it was February 2010. And my wife was basically, over the years, she was always suspicious. But what had happened is 10 years earlier, basically in 2000, I had went to a massage parlor and got a hand job and cheated on her. And man, I vowed that I would never tell a soul. Like, I was so hurt. I couldn't believe I did that. Like, you know, you think I can only do this and that, you know, it's going to stop here. But it just fueled the want for more. And I actually crossed the line. And when I crossed that line, I couldn't believe I did that. And I said, I'm going to go to my grave with this. I said, no one's ever going to know. And that's just the way it's going to be. Well, years go by, but my wife was always suspicious. Like, you know, what's up with you, Terry? And I'm like, I'm good. And I remember starting arguments so she would stop talking. Because what happens is one lie turns into 2, turns into 100. And over 10 years, you start to forget which lie you told. You know, things start to conflate and mixing up. And the pornography never stopped. It would be at a lull, but I'd go like a month and be like, oh wow, I'm good. And then and man, it all culminated. I'll never forget. February 2010, she was like, what is it I don't know about you, Terry Crews? There's something I don't know. I can't. Man, it broke me. Because we were on the phone, literally. I was in New York, she was in California, and I was working on a project. And now, this is another thing I want to say. I was very successful. Very successful. You talking rich, making money, famous, popular. Everybody loved Terry Crews. It was like, wow, you know, Mr. White Chicks, Mr. This, you know. It was phenomenal. Money was rolling in. We were doing well. And I'm like, what she have to complain about? You know, it's a good life, you know? And the question I would ask her, and I would literally ask myself, was like, why doesn't she believe me? When the question I should have been asking is, why am I lying? It's two different, it's the context the same, two different views, you know? And I had blamed her for not believing me. That's how deep it goes. And I'm gonna tell you, success is the warmest place to hide. Because no one's gonna call you on your shit. Nobody's gonna say, hey, maybe you should. You get a lot of sycophants. You get a lot of people telling you, you're right. I had tons of people like, man, you good. In comparison to everybody else, oh my God, you never hit your wife. You never, you bring the money home, you do all this stuff. But I was not real. I was a lie. I was living a lie. And when I told my wife, I heard this gasp on the other end, and I was like, oh boy, I think it's over. And she said, you know, I'm done. She said, I don't know who you are. I have no idea. Because see, to me, it happened 10 years ago. But to her, it happened today.
What did you tell her?
I told her that I went to a massage parlor in Vancouver and I got a hand job. And I said, it happened. I told her like 10 years ago. It was a long time ago. This is the one thing you don't know.
Why did you tell her on that day?
Because she's always asked me. Like, this wasn't the first time. You know, it was a course of like, you doing something. I was like, I'm not doing anything. What are you doing? Like, leave me alone. I'm not like I said, I want you to believe me. But it became to a point where we were on the phone for so long and she wouldn't let it go. A little bit, it was like she wore me down to the point of, you know, like, here. And let me tell you the shocking thing about me telling her that revelation. She was like, I'm gone. That's it. I'm out. And I was like, fine, leave. Great. Thank you. Now we know. Because I was still blaming her. I was like, so you're not going to stick with me? Cool. You know what? I'm Terry Crews. I'm like, I'll get another one just like that. First of all, Hollywood does not care if you lose your family. In fact, I'll get 3 more movies. They were like, hey man, you ain't have to go home. Just go right this one set to the next. I said, since when has Hollywood cared if you lost your family? Since when has that been a career breaker? Never. In fact, you get a divorce, that's just par for the course. And I was like, cool, you can't handle it. And I had all kinds of excuses where, you don't understand my upbringing. I got a high sex drive. This fame. You look at all the women I could be having. None of that stuff worked, man. And all of a sudden, and she left. I remember her hanging up the phone and said, don't come home. I said, I'm not. And then there I was by myself. I remember in this hotel room. And I was with my little thing like, there it is. It's over. And then a little voice was like, maybe it's me. I was like, who is that? I was like, no. First of all, I just gave you the rundown on all the excuses on why I had to do what I had to do because that's what I needed and whoop, 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 whoop. It's you, Terry. She's got nothing to do with this. And man, it was like cracking an egg and I was trying to seal it. But the goop was going all over the place and I'm like, I'm trying to put an egg back together and I can't do it. And I went, damn it. It is me. It is me. Like, I lied. Like, I was lying the whole time. And what I presented to my wife was an image. And she was married to that. But she wasn't married to the real Terry Crews. She was married to the picture. She didn't know. And let me tell you, man, one thing I learned, which is so important and incredible, after all this, and once me and my wife rebuilt our marriage, like literally from the ground up, I learned that intimacy is the only thing I'm looking for. And when I say that, intimacy really means that someone knows you, all your stuff, everything about you, good and bad, and loves you anyway. That's all every man is looking for.